Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And we have here an example of waste on a scale that will blow your tiny minds. It truly is an astonishing amount of money that is being spent for no reason whatsoever. Literally, there is no reason to spend this amount of money. What we have is a Gaelic primary school. And it is going to be given an awful lot of money, £720,000, simply because then it can begin teaching children Gaelic. £720,000 for this to happen. Now that in itself would be bad enough, but set faces to stunned because this school in Thornleybank it's a very small school, and how many children have signed up to learn Gaelic at the cost of £720,000? Let's have a look at this article. Now, if ever there was an example of waste from the SNP, it is this. Gaelic primary school nets £720,000 of public cash despite having just 2 pupils. 2 pupils. Over £350,000 each for one child. £350,000 for one child to learn Gaelic. Perhaps if the child was learning science, maths, English, geography, history, that would be far better. £720,000 to learn Gaelic for 2 children. Are you kidding me? Thornleybank Primary School in East Renfrewshire secured £700,000 of cash from the Scottish Government to begin Gaelic learning provision, and only 2 children have signed up. This is an astonishing waste of absolute tons of money. A Gaelic primary school in East Renfrewshire has cost the public purse £720,000 despite it enrolling only 2 pupils. Thornleybank Primary School opened up its own wing for the teaching of the language earlier this year after receiving a substantial grant from the Scottish Government. It became the region's first ever Gaelic educational establishment and was introduced in a progressive way, starting with P1 pupils only in August, and then having children joining at the same stage in future years. However, 3 months into the project, and there's only been 2 children joining. This means a grand total of £360,000 of public cash has been spent on each of the children so far. The council did say they expected the number to increase from 23-24 onwards. Are you blowing my mind? You can't. Kids are coming out of school, can barely read and write English, can barely count, and they're spending over £350,000 each teaching them Gaelic. This is absolutely ridiculous waste of money. The Scottish Daily Express asked Labour Independent Local Council how much money had been funneled into the initiative. Officials confirmed that over £700,000 of capital funds will be spent on the development of the Gaelic medium primary education provision at Thornleybank Primary School. They added these costs will be fully funded via the Scottish Government specific grant, and in addition, budget is spent on staff and running costs in the current financial year. Net of Scottish specific grant funding is £19,000, just shy of £20,000. Unbelievable. This is an astonishing waste of absolute massive proportions. The council plans to have a maximum attendance of 50 places within the Gaelic school, which will eventually consist of 2 composite classes across P1 to P3 and then P4 to P7. This maximum is due to Scottish rules of having a maximum teacher-pupil ratio of 1 to 25. I just can't, I just literally cannot get my head around those figures. Tory councillor Gordon Wallace, who represents Griffnock and Thornley Bank, told the Scottish Daily Express the statutory guidance that found parents to have established effective entitlement for the provision of Gaelic medium primary education, which is very close to GIMP, which is where we are with this really, isn't it? Is the authority's catchment area when only 2 children were finally presented in year 1. It has to be questioned. 2 children. It's a joke. Whilst the commitment of the teaching staff at Thornley Bank to provide the very best is of little concern, the level to which the provision of GIMP in East Renfrewshire will be sustained in this form, particularly when the attainment gap continues to widen nationally, is most certainly a concern. Use that money to teach the kids things they're actually going to need in the real world when they leave school and go into work. Reading, writing, arithmetic, these things are important, not Gaelic. And I appreciate the importance of your national language. I do, I get it. But not at the cost of £360,000 per child. It's a joke. East Renfrewshire Council claimed that it founded the Gaelic school due to receiving a request for it and then undertaking a full assessment of demand. Well, I'd like to see the full assessment of demand if there's only 2 children. Neighbouring Glasgow already has substantial Gaelic influence with 3 primary schools and 1 secondary school. Initially, the parents of at least 5 children took interest in Thornley Bank with plans for all of them to be enrolled in August 2023. However, 3 of the kids pulled out. An East Renfrewshire Council spokesman said, following the formal assessment being carried out, we had a duty to put Gaelic primary education in place. Why don't they just hire a teacher who speaks Gaelic and teach it as a foreign language in the same way as you teach French and German or whatever, Spanish, and teach it like that? Why go to the trouble of having an entirely Gaelic teaching so that you speak perfect, I'm sure you'll speak perfect Gaelic, but at the expense of learning English and learning all the other things that you're going to learn, and then send them out into a world which is increasingly monolithic in terms of language. English is the language of travel, the language of technology, the language of business. I understand the importance of a cultural language development, but do it as a lesson. Don't do it as a mindset. It's madness. Anyway, as with any new educational offering, they said, we plan for the number of pupils to increase over a period of time. And we expect that this will be the case at Thornley Bank and are looking forward to seeing the provision develop in the years ahead. There's no guarantee. £360,000 a pupil. What an absolute disgraceful waste of money. How many real teachers would that buy? I mean, in terms of a maths teacher, an English teacher, a science teacher, a history teacher. All this. I'm stunned with it. I'm stunned. And if they want to learn Gaelic. That's fine. But what? Honestly, all right. I don't know. I don't know where to go with that. I get it. I do understand the language learning and provision. But not at that cost, surely. Anyway, I shall round off, stunned as I am. Now, of course, local languages are important. Ask a Welshman. And it's how they annoy the English when they walk in. When an Englishman walks into a bar, and they all immediately go, stop talking English, all start talking Welsh. I've been there. I've seen that. And, of course, where I'm from, they speak Gaelic Ola, see, which is Ulster Gaelic. But you'll never hear it. You'll really never, very rarely hear it. Unless you go out and, and see the cultures out in the countryside. You won't see it. But, I mean, Irish Gaelic, I can do tiny bits, Sheena Wheelis, Horst Sparta, and all that, and all. Comes from my grandfather on the south side now. But you just never hear it out in the wild, as it were. They don't have this urge to do this madness, and certainly not at the cost that they're providing. But this is just another example of the SNP not controlling expenses. Is it any wonder they're £1 billion in the black hole when they're spending nigh on £1 million teaching 2 children to speak Gaelic? blows your mind, doesn't it? Blows your mind. Anyway, we shall finish there, astonished as we are. And we'll have a look at the next story coming up is about Liz Lloyd. And I know we did say we weren't going to do the messages, but this one is pertinent and it is one I'm going to do. Anyway, so the next story up is Liz Lloyd. So do keep an eye out for that one. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Bye.